Oh, hello, ladies and gents, section 11.3. We're going to do some multiplying rational expressions. Basically, we're multiplying a fraction by a fraction. However, when you multiply, you can also reduce fractions early. So I'm going to look both up and down, and I'm going to look diagonal in order to reduce my fractions first before I multiply straight across. Okay, and you can multiply straight across. You're just going to end up with a bigger number and reduce later. Totally up to you. So we'll do one of each way. So I'm going to start by reducing first. So if I look at the 3 and the 15, 3 goes into each of those. So 3 goes into 3 one time, and 3 goes into 15 5 times. Now let's look at the x's. Well, I've got one x here. So let's go ahead and cross off one of those up here diagonally. Let's look up and down. This x can cancel with this x. And then if we go diagonal the opposite way, 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 8 4 times. Okay, so now we have it pretty reduced off. I'm going to multiply straight across. All I have left on the top is 4x to the third. And then all I have left on the bottom for the denominator is 5. So all I have done, remember I've got positive exponents. We are good there. I don't have any negative exponents. I don't have a radical in the denominator. So that is my reduced fraction. Now on the next one, I'm going to multiply straight across, and then I'm going to reduce last. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 15. Which you can do, it just sometimes they get a little big for the numbers, which is 30. And then I get y to the third times y to the third, which is y to the sixth. And then if I multiply across on the bottom, 8 times 5 gives me 40. And I have y to the first and y to the fifth, which gives me y to the sixth. Now I can reduce. So I can reduce these two because they go down. I can reduce 30 and 40 down by 10. So I just end up with this one as 3/4. Easy enough. So again, you can reduce early or afterwards. It's totally your call, whatever you're more comfortable with. Okay, so this means we've got some monster terms that we can do here. What I want to do with the first term is I want to pull out everything I can. So on the top, I'm going to pull out a 3. That leaves me with x plus 2. Okay, remember when we did this? On the bottom, I'm also going to pull out a 3. That's going to leave me with x squared plus 6x plus 9. Now I'm going to reduce that even farther in just a second. I'm going to multiply times. I'm going to factor this out. So remember, whenever it's just x, I can factor it out. Since it's negative 12, I can do a negative 4 and a positive 3. Ooh, and then I've got a difference of squares. So this one would be x plus 2 and x minus 2. Ooh, this is all old stuff coming back. Jog those memories. Okay, I'm going to reduce this down. This is going to be x plus 3 and x plus 3 because that's a perfect square right there. Now, I, again, am going to cross reduce and reduce up and down. So x plus 3 and x plus 3, those actually can reduce because they're diagonal of each other. X plus 2 and x plus 2, those can reduce because they're diagonal of each other. My 3's, I can reduce both of those because it's 3 over 3, which is just 1. And then I multiply straight across. So whatever I have on the top is just x plus 4, or sorry, x minus 4. Let's erase that. That's going to be an x minus 4. And then on the bottom, I'm going to have x plus 3 and x minus 2. Now, can I go ahead and FOIL the bottom out? Absolutely. But we're going to go ahead and leave it in this term right here so that it's simplified into terms. And if I had to equal it to 0, I could do so. Okay? All right. Moving on to the next one. This guy on the top just has the 2w squared. That's all I have. On the bottom, it's going to be 3 and 4. So w minus 3 and w minus 4. And then I multiply. This, I have to make it a fraction. So the w minus 4 goes on the top, and I put it over 1. Okay, so let's cross reduce. Those cancel. The 1 is not necessary. So I'm literally just left with this. 2w squared over w minus 3. Okay, moving on. Okay, so on these you're going to notice that the term turns to division. And when we divide fractions, so if I've got 1/2 divided by 3/4, that actually becomes 1/2 multiplied by its reciprocal, which is 4/3. Remember when I said fractions were important? Here we go. We're doing it again. All right, so then you multiply straight across. So we are going to do that here. All right, so the first one I've got a difference of squares. So that's going to be x plus 3 and x minus 3 on the top. On the bottom, it's going to be x, they're both positive, it's going to be plus 2 and x plus 3. Then I'm going to change that to multiplication, and I'm going to flip the second fraction. So on the top, I'm going to get x, that's going to be minus 4, and x plus 2. That gives me a -8 and a -2. Okay, good. And on the bottom, I'm going to actually pull out a 4x here, because I can't, it's not a trinomial, so I can't do 3 terms and factor it out. So I'm going to pull out a 4x. What leaves me with x minus 3. Okay, so now let's get to reducing. I think this is kind of fun. It's kind of like a little puzzle. And we get to simplify it as much as we can. So the x minus 3's cancel. Let's see, I've got an x plus 3 and an x plus 3 here that cancel. Ooh, x plus 2 and x plus 2 cancel. Perfect. So on the top, I'm just left with x minus 4, and you don't necessarily need the parentheses there. It's fine. And then a 4x on the bottom. Now, I cannot reduce this anymore because there's not a 4 in both terms on the top, and there's not an x in both terms on the top. So if that was the case, I could reduce it more, but here I can't. All right, so remember, this is a division, so we're going to flip that second term. So on the top, I've got a difference of squares. So it's going to be m plus 2 and m minus 2. On the bottom, it's only 2 terms, and not both of them are perfect squares, so I'm going to pull out my 2m. I'm going to be left with m minus 2. Ooh, I already see something I can cancel. Okay, this flips. So this part's going on the top. So I'm going to pull out a 4, and I've got m plus 11. And on the bottom, ooh, that's backwards. I'm going to pull out a 3m. I'm going to be left with 2 minus 2 - m. Okay, now let's talk through this a little bit. My m minus 2 and my m minus 2, that cancels, okay? And so far, the rest doesn't cancel. However, what if I pulled out a -3 here instead, and then I got a negative, it still wouldn't matter. Okay, we're going to leave that out. All right, so let's reduce down to what we have. So I'm going to put the 4 out in front. I've got m plus 2, m plus 11. And then I'm going to multiply these together, and I'm going to get a 6m squared on the bottom. Now, I actually can reduce this one a little bit farther. I can't reduce the m's. The m's are going to stay there. But the numbers out front, that can both be divided by 2. So my final answer for this one is 2. And then I would have m. Oh, wait. Hold on. I've got 2 minus m on the bottom, too. So I've got m plus 2. I've got m plus 11. On the bottom, I end up with 3m squared. And then I have 2 minus m. Now, another way that this could be written on the bottom, you don't have to change it, just pay attention. You could do a -3m squared, and then that would be, in that case, you could do 2 or m minus 2. Okay, if this kind of freaks you out because it's backwards, it shouldn't, but just know that that's also another option for the bottom number. Okay, 2 more questions. All right, so for the numerator, can I take out a 3? Ooh, yay, I can. So I'm going to take out a 3. I'm going to have x squared plus 8x plus, that would be a 12, which I'm going to go ahead and reduce this down to x plus 6 and 2. That took me a minute. Okay, and on the bottom, I'm going to pull out a 3. I'm going to end up with 2x plus 3. Okay, now when I divide, remember I have to flip it, so it's going to be times 1 over x plus 2. Okay, so I can reduce here and here. I can reduce my 3's. Perfect. So on the top, and I don't really need to worry about that 1, that's not necessary. So on the top, I just have my x plus 6. And on the bottom, I've got 2x plus 3. Now, here's what I would tell you. And parentheses, again, are not necessary here, but I like to have them just to divide them out. If that 3 was a different number, like 4, oh, but I don't have anything in front of my x. But if I could reduce everything by 2, I could do that. In this case, I can't. Not quite. All right, last one. All right, let's go ahead and FOIL this out. So I've got n, it's both going to be minus 3 and n minus 3. Okay, perfect. Where's that 12n? Stays as 12n. This flips, so it becomes multiplied. So currently it's divided by that, so it becomes multiplied by 1 over n minus 3, which is good news because we don't want that to cancel. So I now on the top, I remember I don't need to worry about my 1. I've got m minus 3 n over 12n. And that's my final answer. And you're going to see here that we're just simplifying so that we don't have to plug n into the term 18 times. So if you had n, you could go back and plug it in, plug it in, plug it in, plug it in. Or we can simplify it and have a much easier way to plug things in. All right, we've got one more lesson tomorrow. Other than that, have a great day.